Okay, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
So today we have another meeting with Sri Bagavath, and he will share his insights about liberation and enlightenment. So thank you for joining, and let's hear what Sri Bagavath has to say this morning.
Good morning to all of you. Today I am starting with a small anecdote or story. And in our family, there is an English professor. His duty is to teach English in the college. He's an English professor. He is teaching English language in the college level. But unexpectedly, he got some psychological problem and begins to misbehave wherever he goes. He catch hold of other people and beat the other people and tell them, please come along with me and I will show God. I am going to show God and you come along with me. And so if anybody refuses to come along with him, he begins to beat the other people. And he misbehave in the public, and we are afraid of his behavior, and we caught hold of him and take him to our house and kept him in a locked room. And within the room, he shouts this and that, and I will show you the God, but you do not know where is God, what is God, you do not know. And I know where is God, what is God. And you all come and allow me to get away from the house. And I have to show everybody the God. So this is my duty. He shouts like this. Is it possible to advise him to behave in a normal way? But our advice will not reach. So I have to catch hold of him and kept him. I have to keep him in a room. That's all we have to do. But within the room, he shouts this and that. So we have no work with related to the English professor. But one day, we have the English newspaper in the morning, and while going through the news, there is a new English word. We do not know anything about the English word. It is unfamiliar, and without knowing the meaning of the word, we cannot understand the message of the news. So what we have to do? We can simply knock the door of the English professor and ask what's the meaning of the word. He will rightly say what is the meaning of the word. But he is the English professor. He knows everything about the English. So that is all the capacity of the English professor. But we cannot get the advice. But he has many advice. But we need not get the other advices from him. Only the meaning of the word we can get from him. That is useful for our action. So what are useful for our actual action, actual duty, we can make use of that. But otherwise, we cannot correct the English professor. We cannot separate the English professor. So where is the English professor is living? Now the question is, where is the English professor is living? Who is the English professor? Lanier, you can narrate the things in your language and ask the question.
אוקיי, אז שרי בגבת סיפר שבמשפחה שלו יש אדם, פרופסור לאנגלית, שיום אחד הוא איבד את האיזון הנפשי שלו, והתחיל להסתובב ולהגיד לכולם שהוא מצא את אלוהים, הוא יכול להראות לכם את אלוהים, למי שרוצה, אבל מי שלא השתכנע לבוא איתו, אז הוא התחיל להרביץ לו. וההתנהגות שלו הייתה כל כך פרועה, שבמשפחה של שרי בגבת לא הייתה להם ברירה, אי אפשר לדבר איתו בהיגיון. לקחו אותו הביתה ונעלו אותו באחד החדרים. ושם הוא היה ממשיך לצעוק שהוא יכול להראות את אלוהים, וזה השליחות שלו להראות לאנשים את אלוהים. וכך הוא היה בחדר הסגור. ואחרי כמה ימים, באחד העיתונים האנגליים שבבית קראו, הופיעה מילה חדשה שלא הייתה מובנת לאף אחד. והאנשים בבית נזכרו שיש להם פרופסור לאנגלית בחדר הנעול, והם דפקו בדלת ושאלו אותו מה הפירוש של המילה. והוא מיד ידע להגיד את התשובה הנכונה, כי הוא פרופסור לאנגלית. ושבגבת שואל, אז תגידו לי עכשיו איפה שוכן אותו פרופסור לאנגלית, היכן הוא נמצא, מי הוא אותו פרופסור לאנגלית, בהשלכה על החיים שלנו. אוקיי, שבגבת.
Okay. Can you tell who is the English professor and where he is living? Can anybody tell us who is the English professor? We can simply say he is only our family member, but that is not the answer. Anybody contributes?
או שהוא סגור בבית מחסה, או שהוא מפורסם מאוד, אחד מהשניים.
השאלה היא, שבגבת, זה כמובן, זה משל, כן. הסיפור הזה הוא משל למציאות הפנימית שלנו. ושבגבת שואל האם מישהו יכול לחשוב מה הנמשל במציאות של האדם, מי הוא אותו פרופסור בעולם הפסיכולוגי, בעולם הפנימי.
Yeah, maybe I'll try.
Okay.
maybe the professor is what you call the second part, which means
Okay.
the mind. When you use it as a tool, it's very useful.
Okay.
But when it's in control, it's crazy.
Okay. It's a correct answer, but some other explanation is also there, and And if anybody else wants to say anything, they may also contribute.
வணக்கம் ஐயா.
வணக்கம்.
Our mind is a professor.
Okay.
Traffic mind is a professor.
Oh. Why don't you tell I am the English professor? Simply.
Yeah, of course, I'm the English professor.
I myself is the English professor.
Yeah, it's true. True, yeah.
We always try to escape from the scene.
Yeah, true.
But actually, I am the culprit. I am the real thief.
Culprit, yeah.
I am the real problem. We always try to escape from ourselves. That's the problem.
Yeah. ஆணி இதெல்லாம் அடிச்சிட்டீங்க ஐயா.
Yeah, this is the kind of maybe the difference between the Buddha view on this subject and the yoga view on the subject. The yoga says that there is a real me, a different self, the real self. And the Buddha is saying, like you are saying, no, there's no other self. It's just that you are crazy, and that's it. There is no self. So there is the crazy me, and when he is gone, there is no other self. So what do you think about that?
So the basic truth may be like this, but we are having only the expression, the day-to-day life. We are meeting the day-to-day life. We are having the day-to-day experience. So we feel ourselves as the day-to-day experience. Within the deeper part of ourselves, maybe the supreme one. It may be the real one. It may be the reality. But the same time, what we feel, what we actually live, is the expression of ourselves. The expression may be like this, just like a mad person, just like an insane person. It may be like this. So it is the wandering mind. The wandering mind will be always like this. It will go this spot and that spot. But if you try to restrict our action, that's the problem. So that means we have to give total freedom to ourselves. If you give total freedom to ourselves, then the different kind of work will start. So first of all, we have to understand how to give total freedom to ourselves. So if you use our mind, can I give freedom to this kind of nonsense? And then we'll be letting to give freedom to ourselves. So whether it is good or bad, whether it's right or wrong, we have to give freedom to ourselves. Then only everything will be all right. So that does not mean it will take you to the wrong side. But if you give total freedom, but it is only psychological, not only related to the actions. The external actions may be in an organized way, but psychologically there should not be any organized action. It must be total, it must be liberated. So that is the psychological system.
אז שרי בגבת, אני שאלתי את שרי בגבת על ההבדל בין ההשקפה היוגית להשקפה הבודהיסטית, על הנושא הזה של העצמי, אם יש עצמי אמיתי או אין עצמי אמיתי. ושרי בגבת אמר שייתכן שיש עצמי אמיתי שנמצא מעבר לכל הדברים, אבל הוא לא בא לידי ביטוי בחיי היום-יום שלנו. בחיי היום-יום שלנו אנחנו רק פוגשים את המיינד המשוגע, את עצמנו, עם המיינד שהולך לפה ולשם ועושה שטויות. ואומר שהסיכוי היחיד שלנו לשינוי זה אם אנחנו נפסיק להגביל ונפסיק בעצם לנסות ליצור סדר בתוך המיינד המבולבל הזה, ונאפשר לו להיות לגמרי חופשי. רק אז יכולה לקרות טרנספורמציה, יכול לקרות שינוי בתודעה שלנו. אבל הוא אומר, מי אמיץ מספיק בשביל לתת חופש לכזה מין מיינד. וצריך גם לקחת בחשבון שהפעולות החיצוניות שלנו יישארו מבוקרות, נשלטות. כאן מדובר על חופש מוחלט לעולם הפנימי. That's it.
Okay.
So I can ask about it. I think it is very confusing. When I first heard about what you say now, from one hand, to let yourself free yourself. Don't be any policeman inside. Don't try to do order inside. And then what happened? It started to go outside in my behavior. I would be not, I can let my anger come out like that, stuff like that, because I felt, well, this is what it is, and this is how I am, and I need to see that, what I am. I don't want to control anymore. And then it got me to this kind of behavior, which you feel it's not good. It's not the right thing. And on the other hand, when you try to control your behavior, you start to control your inner. So this is a very delicate thing it's very like a meditative process, I think, to be with your inside world without interference, and somehow to differentiate with the outer behavior, with the outer action, that it would be appropriate. And it takes some maturity, it takes some wisdom here. It takes some, I don't know, some understanding, which is more deep, I think, because otherwise you can just get to the other side of bad behavior, and this is definitely not what you're saying.
So here, the English professor has given a wrong answer to the question for the meaning of the word. Yes, give you the correct answer. So we can behave correctly in the external world. So, but the wandering mind is a very little part of our total mind. The total mind is dealing with the things, not the partial mind of our thing. So the total mind is coming to the action to the other part. If you so the meaning is that the wandering part would be like that. It is a very small part of our mind. The total mind is the real mind. The total mind, when we deal with anything, the total mind will come into action, not the partial mind. The partial mind will be always like that. We need not worry about the partial mind. But when we meet with the situation, the total mind will come into action. The previous meeting also we will seen the analogy of a dog. So it is surrounded by the opponents, surrounded by the inimical dogs. But it can simply escape from that. So some presence of mind will come, and it will act. So we need not arrange yourself. So we can arrange the situation, but we need not arrange ourselves. We have to give total freedom to ourselves. So giving freedom to ourselves, that will help to arrange the situation, to meet the situation in a correct way. So we will not misbehave with the situation. But basically we are giving the thing as if the English professors are doing coming mistake and wrongly doing to the public. That we have to forget. But the main thing is that it is just like it is a representative of our wandering mind. We have to take it only psychological aspect. Psychologically, if you try to separate ourselves perfectly, we have to have the good emotion, good thought, good thinking. Then only then we are dividing ourselves into two parts. I am the one. I am the control of myself, and have to. So it is struggling within ourselves, the inner struggle. So all the inner struggle starts to separate ourselves. So if you forbidden to separate yourself, you will become totally free. Our total mind will be liberated mind. Then we can. So mind is different from the intellect. The intellect alone is the responsible part for ourselves to deal with the situation. The mind is not the thing. The intellect alone is the important thing. And if you give total freedom to the mind, the intellect will take hand of everything, and it will act properly into the external situation also. What is the right thing? What is the wrong thing? It will behave in a good manner. So everything will be all right in our actions.
So maybe in the traditional way, it was said that you have to, spend 12 years with a master or in a yoga school. Then you are taught to behave in a certain way and have a different lifestyle. Like learning how to control your outer actions. And then after 12 years, the guru can say to you the truth. You can say, now you can free everything. Maybe if you say, and then it will work. But maybe if you would say to a person, you can be free inside and just have a controlled life outside, then it doesn't work. Maybe it works only for people who already have a certain degree of control on their outer actions.
No, that is right. But so for the foundation work, we have to do some rules and regulations, and we have to think the right thing. We have to read the right books, and in this way, we can have some basic arrangements. So after that, we can understand there is we need not arrange ourselves psychologically. Psychologically there must be freedom. The liberation and freedom related to the psychological world alone, not the physical world. Physical world, some discipline must be there, some control must be there. Right thing must be appreciated, wrong thing must be suppressed. So in the external world, everything will be in order. Everything will be in a disciplined manner. But psychologically, freedom alone must be there. Liberation alone must be there.
So you say there must be a groundwork, foundation work, which includes
foundation is 1 or 2 years is enough.
regulation of the because I see many, many people, like Oshrat said, many people that hear this message So the inner freedom is also, makes them behave in a way that sometimes hurt other people, hurt themselves, because they feel everything is free, and now inside, outside, I can say anything that I want, and I can behave in a way that I want. So maybe these people should go through a certain, kind of
Discipline.
outer discipline or something like that.
But it is not possible. But you have to understand. But externally, you have to do the correct thing. But psychologically, the emotion may be like this. Some thought may be like this. So unnecessary thought, unnecessary emotion may come. But everything. But in the externally, everything will be all right. But it is everything is external thing is controlled by our intellect, not by our mind. Mind is only some suggestion field. It will suggest like this. It will have some expression like this. It is a natural flow. We cannot control anything. But even though we have tried to control the emotions and thoughts, it will come on its own. We against our control, it will come. Then we have to throughout our life we have to struggle within ourselves. We have to control throughout till the end of our life. We have to control ourselves. But we cannot succeed. The success will not be there. But at the same time, if we give total freedom, it will shout and it will be settled. It will not disturb the external field. But the external work is concerned, the intellect will take into action. The intellect will come into the field, and it will take everything in the hand. Previous instance also we have said some extra for example, we are purchased a valuable and some high priced glassware, and we place it in the hall of our room of our house, and in the visitors room some glassware is there. It is very costly, and one day our child pushed it down and broken the glassware into pieces, and we immediately got anger, and we give a blow to our child. So here the emotion is instantaneous, and our action is also instantaneous. Spontaneously our anger comes and our expression also comes. But at the same time, for example, and our close friend visited our house along with a little child of our own child, in the age group of our own child. Our relative child is also did the same thing as brought down the glassware and broken the glass. So without our knowledge, we have the anger. But will we blow the relative child? Will not. The anger will come automatically, but it will not be expressed in my action. So within our emotion and action, our intellect is there. The intellect will safeguard everything. We need not worry about that. But in our own child, our intellect give permission. We can freely express to our own child. But with related to the relative child, our intellect does not give permission to express our anger. So it is there. So we can make use of our intellect to deal with the things of the world. But at the same time, we need not suppress our emotions, and we will not keep ourselves without anger. No anger will not come from me. Good emotion alone must come from me, and no bad emotions will not come. But everything is according to deal with the situation. All emotion is good. Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be bad. But at the same time, our intellect is there. It can safeguard everything.
Okay, maybe I'll translate it. So,
Okay.
אז התחיל מהשאלה של אושרת, שהיא שאלה את שרי בגבת על העניין הזה של העולם הפנימי והעולם החיצוני, ומהניסיון שלה, לפעמים כשהיא שמעה את המסר הזה שצריך לתת חופש לעולם הפנימי, זה הפך להיות גם חופש בעולם החיצוני, כי למה לעצור? זה מה שאני, וזה צריך לראות את זה, ואז נוצר מצב שהייתה התנהגות שהיא גם פגעה בעצמה וגם פגעה בסביבה שלה, ואז היא שאלה את שרי בגבת איך להתמודד עם העניין הזה. ושרי בגבת ענה שמבחינה פנימית אמנם אנחנו לא צריכים לשלוט, אבל מבחינה חיצונית יש את האינטלקט, צריך להבדיל בין האינטלקט לבין המיינד. המיינד המשוטט זה מיינד כאוטי שמושפע בקלות מהרגשות שלו, אבל בין המיינד הכאוטי לבין ההתנהגות שלנו מבחינה חיצונית, האינטלקט עומד שם, והאינטלקט צריך להבין שזה התפקיד שלו, לווסת את ההתנהגות כלפי חוץ, זאת אומרת לדעת לקרוא את הסיטואציה ולדעת מה נכון ומה לא נכון בעולם החיצוני. אז נתן את הדוגמה של איזשהו חפץ נוי שעשוי מזכוכית מאוד יקר שקנית לבית, ואם הבן שלך ישבור את זה, אז יכול להיות הכעס שעולה בך מיד יתרגם לאיזה מכה שתיתן לילד, אבל אם הבן של הבוס שלך מגיע והוא שובר את אותו חפץ נוי מזכוכית, אתה לא תיתן לו מכה. למה? כי האינטלקט כאן עומד באמצע ולא מורשק, אתה יודע וזה מוכיח שיש לנו שליטה על ההתנהגות החיצונית שלנו. אז האינטלקט צריך להבין שזה התפקיד שלו, לבסט את ההתנהגות באופן חיצוני, ועם זאת האינטלקט צריך להבין שמבחינה פנימית הוא לא צריך לשלוט בשום דבר, והוא יכול לתת לדברים להיות בדיוק כפי שהם. That's it, Bagavath.
Okay.
Yes. I have
So
one,
the
one,
English, no, you can ask question.
one question. So there are, so at least my experience is there are two ways to handle external situations. One is, as you say, through intellect, which could be more repression, right? So there is anger coming up, you control it through repression, you don't act as, that's one way. The second way is through awareness. If you are aware in the situation, then the emotion will not, will immediately disappear, anger like. If you're aware of the anger is immediately disappearing. If you are activating the intellect, it's about repression, it's about fighting with the anger. So my question is, can you say a little bit more about this awareness? Is it?
So the awareness is there. The awareness is part of our wandering mind. So even though everything is there, the awareness is the basis of everything. Even within our wandering mind, the awareness is there. But when you give total freedom to our wandering mind, the awareness will dominate. So if you only because of our giving freedom to the wandering mind alone, the awareness will come into a picture. So it will look after everything.
Okay, so basically, if I understand correctly, then awareness is a very powerful
Yeah,
state.
well, it is a powerful state. It is a basic one. It is a powerful one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. But we cannot activate the awareness. And the awareness is not under our control. So it is natural. And the awareness is there. But at the same time, the awareness will cover everything. It is not at all the external world. It aware of our inner wandering, the charterings also. It aware of the chartering, it aware of the emotions, everything, it will aware of everything. So only we give freedom to the chartering mind, the awareness is take role. When the awareness take the role of everything, it will separate the inner part and the external world. Everything it will work.
Yeah, yes, but at least my experience is that awareness requires practice. I mean, it takes time for awareness to always be there, or be there a lot of the time. So,
but the practice, if you practice awareness, that awareness is also a kind of psychological work. But at the same time, if you give total freedom to yourself, everything will be natural. You need not practice is not necessary. So if you practice awareness, the practiced awareness is just like it is a work. For the little bit it may help, but it is not a permanent solution.
So are you saying that practicing awareness makes awareness slowly become more and more part of your day-to-day life, even without practicing?
So, but it is on anyhow. It is natural. Awareness is natural.
Yes.
Why should we practice it when it is natural? We need not practice it.
It's natural after you practiced it.
But you try for yourself and find it for yourself.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Do you mean to say that when you practice awareness, like many suggest in the spiritual field, to practice it, then it is no more than just another layer or part of this crazy mind which you are talking about? Means that it is not at all the awareness that you speak about, which is natural, which is part of your mind, and gets activated while you are passive. So when you are activating it, when you're doing it wishfully, then it's not the awareness that you speak about, is it?
But awareness is the basis of our mind. So it is the watching, listening, the sensitivity. That is the basic structure of our mind. It is also the basic structure of our the wandering mind. But the wandering mind alone is the disturbance. But when we wandering mind understand its limitation and we understand it, and if you give freedom to the wandering mind, so within the freedom, the sensitivity develops. The sensitivity is naturally it explodes. It is just like it is a flowering of just like it is just like a flowering. The sensitivity comes, the awareness comes, and it will take you to the world, and everything will be wrong. Everything will be right.
But many people feel when they speak about awareness, they mean you are the observer, you are the watcher, you are the silent witness, and then you see everything. This is what many people understand by the word awareness, is this watching, witnessing quality. And this is the practice. And then you practice it every day, and then you become more and more the witness, and like that. So what would you say about this kind of approach?
So practice all practice is good. There is no wrong about it. No wrong idea about it. Everything is good. But at the same time, the main thing is the witnessing means there should not be the eye concept. I am not watching it. I am not listening it. Watching is going on. Listening is going on. That is the witness thing. So here, the removal of eye consciousness alone is important. So here, what is when we give total freedom to our expression, indirectly we are giving. When we give total freedom to ourselves, then it is not taking the major role. So it is indirectly we are in the witnessing consciousness. Because the I am is not watching everything, the I am is not the taking role. So when the actually witnessing is there, watching is there, everything is there. So it is all. We are not practicing it. Without practicing it, witnessing is going on.
So it's like, let's say that you, who you think you are the king, and the ego, the I am, thinks he is the king, and he's sitting on the throne, but he's not able to control anything because he's not really the king. He's just an imposter. He's not really the king. But when he realizes, I'm not the king, he moves away from the throne, and the real king is coming, which is awareness. And then he controls everything. Just by sitting there, he can control everything because he's the real king. So it's like that.
It is like.
So in a way, all those spiritual disciplines, they create a mistaken view, because they tell you practice it willfully, practice it in a conscious way, and by that they create a false king. They create this false idea of you need to take a different stand, that yourself, the me, needs now to take a different role of an observer. And by that way, all this spiritual stuff is confusing, actually.
So by practice, when we try to practice anything, we again become the king. The king rules everything. The king is doing the practice. So we crowning ourselves. We take a crown to ourselves that I am the thing. I have to practice, and I will deal everything in a correct way. So I am the king. So we make ourselves. We restore the kingdom. Then the struggle is going on. So we have to put down, we have to come down from the kingdom. Then only everything, the real king will come. The real king will operate.
So just to make sure I understand. So as you said, awareness is our natural state, just listening and being there. This is a natural state. However, we haven't been aware of this awareness for all our life. So today there's just this wandering mind that is controlling everything. And even if you let anything that happens, still the wandering mind will take over very quickly. So the practice of awareness is not about learning awareness or practicing awareness for practice. It's just that you are allowing, in a more, let's say, isolated situation, you're allowing your natural awareness, you're allowing yourself to be exposed to your natural awareness. It's just that you need somehow to quiet down the wandering mind to be aware of this awareness, which is your nature, but over time you start having it more and more, even without practicing. So my question is, if practice is helping that, I mean, am I understanding it correctly? I mean, practice can help you be aware of your awareness Or
But here, but if you are interested to practice because you believe practice will take you to a good state. When you have the idea like this, you have to go along with that. But at the same time, here the understanding it gets more importance. So the intellect, we have to come to a conclusion that we have to put down our wandering mind. Though it not select anything psychologically, we don't have anything to attain. So if you select to attain something, you have to design yourself, then only your practice needs. But we need nothing within ourselves. But externally we need everything. External world is concerned, we need everything. But psychologically we need nothing. So if you select something to be like this, then only we have to do this and that thing. So here psychologically, if you do not want to have anything, naturally, then whatever happen naturally everything will be okay. So we have to give total freedom to our psychological function. So psychological world is concerned, only freedom and liberation must be there. So practice for the beginning, it is okay. Afterwards, practice is just like some giving some force, but it is not, it is against freedom. So where natural, whatever happening naturally, that is good. So here the submission and surrender must be there.
and who is aware of the wandering mind?
Who is
aware of the wandering mind?
So whatever we are doing, we know our thing. We have the self-consciousness that we are wandering or something. But at the same time, if you want to inquire, the intellect has to inquire. The intellect has to inquire and come to a conclusion like this. The feeling is natural. Whatever we are doing, we have the feeling that we are doing like this. It is natural. But at the same time, if we inquire what kind of doing we are doing, then the intellect has to understand, intellect has to inquire and find out what is going on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Maybe it's like awareness is always there.
Yeah.
But then the ego, the me, the I am, he takes the role that he has to sustain awareness. Again, he's coming that he has a new job now, and now his new job is sustaining awareness. But again, he is making himself, like you say, again, he is making himself important, because it's up to me to keep awareness all the time. And if I'm not doing it, so he is becoming like the king again.
That also he prefers, when you do such a thing, you prefer some state over another state, because otherwise, why would you do that? If you don't prefer being not aware and being in inner chaos, then why would you do anything? Unless you prefer, and if you prefer, you already in a trouble.
But
so in a way, you need not to prefer.
But the external world is concerned, there should not be any chaos. Everything must be in order. But psychologically, everything must be natural. So whenever we want to try to regulate anything, the ego take the role. The ego is the problem. Actually, the ego alone is the problem, and we are giving the kingdom to the ego. So the ego is trying to control, separate everything. Actually, the ego is the problem maker. It is the mischief maker.
And isn't the way to control the ego or to prevent the ego from taking over is just to be aware of it?
So understand is awareness is not necessary. We have to understand. The intellect has to understand that we have to understand. So we are unnecessarily struggling within ourselves. So every struggle is a self struggle, struggling within ourselves. So it is a meaningless struggle. If you struggle with the other person, other thing, we can struggle. If you struggle within ourselves, that is meaningless.
So, okay. So, and please correct me here. If I understand, there are two ways to handle ego or struggle or wandering mind. One way is to understand. Hey, here, understand here. My mind is starting to work or play games. I need to stop. That's one way. This is intellectual understanding. The second way is just being aware that this is happening, and the minute you're aware it's happening, it loses its power.
So here, so freedom alone is the enemy to the ego. The order and control is in support of the ego. So we have to give freedom to the ego. The ego will disappear. If you try to give, you have to do this thing, you should not do this thing, that if you give regulation to the ego, it may take advantage of the rules and regulation, it begins to rule, and I will execute the rules and regulation, and you will take the role. But if you give total, whatever you can do, you can do. We can give total freedom to the ego. That is the end of the ego.
Yes, and isn't giving total freedom to the ego is just being aware of it?
Yeah.
Just being aware of it.
No, aware of means it is also a kind of doing. It is a kind of action. We need not worry about it. Whatever you do, just like we can say to a sane person, we can say do this thing and that thing. But if you are an insane person, how can we order him this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing? He cannot understand. So we have to simply, whatever you do, you can do. You can simply say like this. We need not aware of him, but to understand, we have to understand the ego is the only mischief, only problem within ourselves, and only giving freedom to the ego will be all right. All setting it right, it is encouraging the ego.
So if you give freedom to the ego, and you go with the ego, basically that's giving freedom to the ego.
So we have to understand. The very understand, you need not, the understand alone is enough. Whatever it is doing, we need not worry about that. Everything is okay. We have to give total freedom, just like an image, just like we can treat it as it is a natural thing. Whatever comes in the form of the ego or anything, we have to take it as natural.
But when you're in the situation and the ego takes over, let's say anger or being hurt or whatever, okay, you let which trigger thoughts and more anger and more whatever, right? This is like
so here what I mean, we should not find fault with ourselves. We should not find fault with our psychological system or anything. So, but at the same does not mean the external is we should not find fault with the external world. So we should not find ourselves guilty for anything. We have to be all right. Whatever comes within the psychological world, everything is natural, everything is normal. Everything, it is spontaneous. We do not know this is right, this is wrong. Everything is natural. That alone is the correct.
Right, but if I'm already, in a place where my default behavior is to go with the ego and to add thoughts and all the problems that come with the ego, if this is my default behavior right now and I give total freedom, it will just continue. The only way to, at least I think, the only way to disconnect with this ego is by being aware that this is what's happening. Otherwise, understanding is just another thought that is fighting a thought that is fighting a thought that is fighting a thought. It's just playing mind games to no.
So the external action is different. So, and the earlier also I have set the example how we behave with our own child and how we behave with the relative child. The anger is same, but the expression may be different. So in this way, whatever comes, so we should not blame ourselves. But but we have to blame the action. This is the correct action. This is the bad action. We have to regulate the action, but we need not regulate ourselves. We need not regulate our emotion, because whenever recognize any emotion, it disappears. So it is only just like a lightning. It comes and disappears. Only we hear the noise of the lightning very later. So in this way, when we understand, when we recognize we are in the some tension or anything, it is already over. We need not worry about thing. We need not separate the thing. It is already over. So we need not worry about the psychological matter. Is also all the psychological expression is we feel only it is already over. So what we have to do when it is something is over, when it is something is finished. So psychological world, we have to take it as natural, and we have to forget it is once for it is finished. So, but the external world is not finished. The external world is a continuing thing where we have to plan, we have to correct our action. Is sometimes the action may be all may be somewhat fast, even though beating our child is also wrong. But at the same time, if the same thing happen in the second time, we can be aware. The first time experience will come for our help. Then we can be somewhat conscious with the action of our own child also. So it will. So in this way, we can regulate the external world, external situation. But the psychological situation is we have to take it as natural. Then only everything will be all right. So if you are psychologically all right, the physical thing also will all right. Afterwards, the physical thing and psychological thing will join together and will have a perfect psychological system and physical system also. Some coordination will be there. Okay.
Yes, it's extremely hard sometimes for people sometimes to understand that there is no role for us to play in the inner world, especially for people who are practicing for many years. It is very hard to let go of some sort of practice inside and to understand that there is really nothing to do inside. So I can see that it is sometimes very, very difficult because you want to do something, you want to achieve something, and you feel that if you will do nothing, you will just remain confused, you will remain ignorant, you will remain ambitious and selfish and all that things. So you feel you need to do something, and it's very difficult to understand that there is nothing to do inside.
But here we are having some two sets of ideas. One set of ideas that we have to give total freedom to the psychological system. And the other system says we have to arrange the psychological world also. Thereby we can meet the external world. So you have to test which one is correct, which one is functioning correct. We have to test. We have both our two options. We have to live both way. We have this way and that way. We can select. We can find out. But at the same time, all practice will keep you always in just like a practicing person. But when you take the liberation to this world, the psychological world, you will be a liberated man. Then everything will be all right naturally.
I remember a point in my life which I felt that I'm doing as best as I can. Inwardly, outwardly, I'm practicing awareness, I'm practicing control, like outward control, to behave right, in the right way. And I felt no matter how much I will try, I'm still so far from my destination, from being harmonious in a natural way without effort. I felt it will bring me mad. Like I want to be harmonious and I can't. As much as I try, it's not possible. And this drove me mad because I felt that the gap is not something I can do. The gap between where I am and where I want to be is not doable. And this got me really mad. And I felt doesn't matter how much you try to behave your inward, outward, it doesn't work. It's just the mad professor is there and it's not going to disappear. So it was really frustrating. More than frustrating. It's impossible situation. And once you reach to the point when you say it's not possible, it's just not possible. I lost this battle. I cannot win this. It's too strong. But what's nice, I think, in what you're saying is that inwardly you take this position of I already lost. Inwardly, you cannot do anything. It's not possible to do anything, or there is no point. But outwardly, the intellect, not it's a set of beliefs and a conduct which you have already, which you know which the intellect holds, and it functions. So in a way, it's different because you don't need to give effort to behave, but just to trust the intellect that it will know how to act because you have the right set of belief and do's and don'ts, because you know what is being harmonious outside, and you trust the intellect to do that. Is it true that you just give natural trust in this intellect that it will know how to act while you are letting go inwardly?
So here we have to understand each and every emotions is having some two aspects. So just like lightning and thunder noise, the lightning is the real thing. The noise of the thunder is the later one. When we hear the noise of the thunder, there is no lightning at all. But in this way, each and every emotions, when we have the emotions, it is unconscious. Even though it is a real emotion, real consciousness, we are unaware of that. We do not recognize the thing. When we recognize some emotion, it is just like the voice of the thunder. When the voice of the thunder we feel, the real thunder has gone, the real lightning has gone away. So in this way, each and every emotions are like this. So if we are able to separate the emotion, we have to separate even before we recognize it. But how can we remove anything when we even before we recognize it? But after recognizing, when we recognize something, it is already over. So we need not worry about the emotions. It is already over. But at the same time, the reminiscence will be there. Just like the thunder noise, the reminiscence of our the remaining portion of the emotion will be there. With the remaining portion, if it is necessary, we can make use of the external world, or you need not worry about the external thing. if it is if the reminiscence, if the remaining portion of the emotion is not suitable to use the external world for the anger, even if you consider in the form of anger, the anger in the first time it will be unconscious, and even before our recognition, even before our but when we recognize the emotion, it is already over. But if the anger is necessary, we can make use of that, because the remaining portion of the anger will be there. With the help of the remaining portion, we can make use of that. Otherwise, you need not worry about that. But at the same time, we need not saturate the anger. Every emotions will be like that. So we have no work at all. Psychologically and scientifically, we have no work at all to saturate the emotion. All emotions are finished product. When we don't have any work to contribute for the finishing of any emotion, so it is already over.
Thank you.
But at the same time, we may think, we may keep ourselves without any anger, without any emotion, some adore emotions. We can feel like that. We can safeguard ourselves. But all without our safeguard, the emotion will come in a given situation. That is the real fact. And you can translate, and we can continue. We can continue the things in the next week. And for that, presently, we can translate and we can conclude.
אוקיי, אז דיברנו הרבה, אני לא אוכל לתרגם את הכל, אז אני אתרגם את החלק האחרון של מה ששרי בגבת אמר. בהתייחס לעולם הפנימי, אנחנו יכולים להתייחס לזה כמו תופעת טבע של הברק והרעם. למעשה, הברק והרעם מגיעים אנחנו יודעים, על פי המדע, הם מגיעים כיחידה אחת. אבל החושים שלנו, בגלל שמהירות האור יותר גבוהה ממהירות הקול, החושים שלנו קולטים את הברק, ואחר כך את הרעם אחרי כמה זמן. אבל למעשה כשאתה שומע את הרעם, הברק כבר עבר מזמן, זהו. זאת אומרת, אין לך מה לפחד מהרעם, כי אם היית אמור לקבל את הברק, אתה כבר לא היית מסוגל לשמוע את הרעם, כי כבר היית מת. אז הנקודה היא שברגע שאתה שומע את הרעם, הברק זה כבר קרה. זה רק התוצר לוואי של הברק. באותו אופן, העולם הפנימי שלנו הוא כזה שכשאנחנו מרגישים משהו, אנחנו מרגישים בעצם את הרעם. הרגש כבר קרה. מה שאנחנו מרגישים בעצם זה רק את התוצר לוואי שלו על המנגנון הזה של הגוף נפש שלנו, את הרעם הזה. אז מה אתה יכול לעשות עם הרעם? אין לזה ממשות. אתה לא יכול, זה כבר מאוחר מדי. אנחנו תמיד מגיעים מאוחר מדי. ולכן בעולם הפנימי, שרי בגבת אומר, אין לנו שום תפקיד, כי כל פעם שאנחנו מגיעים זה כבר מאוחר מדי. אנחנו מגיעים תמיד אחר כך. אתה לא יכול לעצור את זה, זה כבר קרה.
בהקשר של המודעות, שמפתח מודעות.
כן, אז כל דבר שאנחנו יכולים לעשות בעולם הפנימי, הוא לא מציאותי, הוא לא מעשי. כי אנחנו כל הזמן עושים דברים שכבר קרו. אבל בעולם החיצוני אנחנו כמובן צריכים להפעיל את השיקול דעת שלנו. אם נחזור לאנלוגיה של המלך, אז המלך זה המודעות שתמיד נמצאת שם, ואפשר להגיד שהאינטלקט או היכולת ההבחנה שלנו זה ראש הממשלה. אז ראש הממשלה מקבל את הפקודות שלו מהמודעות, מהמלך, והוא יכול לבצע את המשימות שלו כלפי חוץ, וכלפי פנים אין לו שום עבודה. That's it, Shivagas.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much. So I'll stop recording now.